The gates of the National Assembly in Abuja became the center of a major political showdown on Monday morning, February 9, 2026, as hundreds of Nigerians gathered to protest against the Senate's decision to reject mandatory electronic transmission of election results. This was not just any ordinary protest. Leading the charge at the front lines were some of the most recognizable faces in Nigerian politics and activism, including former Labour Party presidential candidate and now chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, Peter Obi, fiery activist Aisha Yesufu, and a coalition of civil society groups operating under the banner of the Movement for Credible Elections. The protesters arrived early, carrying placards with messages demanding electoral transparency and chanting slogans calling on lawmakers to reverse what they describe as a deliberate attempt to sabotage Nigeria's democracy ahead of the 2027 general elections. This massive demonstration was triggered by what happened in the Senate chamber last Wednesday when lawmakers passed the Electoral Act 2022 Repeal and Reenactment Amendment Bill 2026 through its third reading, but conspicuously refused to approve the proposed amendment to Clause 6, subsection 3 that would have made electronic transmission of election results mandatory. The rejected provision would have required presiding officers of the Independent National Electoral Commission to electronically transmit results from each polling unit to the iRev portal in real time after the prescribed form had been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and countersigned by candidates. Instead, the Senate chose to retain the existing provision of the Electoral Act, which simply states that the presiding officer shall transfer the results in a manner as prescribed by the Commission without specifically mandating electronic transmission. This decision sparked immediate and widespread outrage across the country from opposition parties, civil society organizations, and millions of Nigerians who see this as a calculated move to enable rigging in the 2027 elections. Peter Obi had earlier condemned the Senate's action in the strongest terms possible, describing it as confirmation that Nigeria remains fantastically corrupt and disgraced. In a statement released days before the protest, Obi argued that the Senate's refusal to make electronic transmission mandatory was a clear signal that those in power are not interested in free and fair elections, but are instead preparing the ground to manipulate results. He pointed out that in an era where technology has made electoral transparency achievable, choosing to retain ambiguous provisions that allow for manual manipulation is nothing short of deliberate sabotage. If you are watching this video and you care about the future of democracy in Nigeria and want to stay informed on developments like this that will determine whether your vote counts in 2027, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you the stories that matter most. Aisha Yesufu has been equally vocal and even more confrontational in her criticism of the Senate. She took to social media over the weekend and directly called on senators to stop playing what she called bad cop, good cop games with Nigerians. She accused them of either being active or passive participants in disenfranchising the Nigerian people and subverting their power to choose who governs them. Yesufu went as far as demanding that senators impeach Senate President Godswill Akpabio, arguing that instead of giving press conferences and appearing on media platforms to complain about Akpabio, they should use their constitutional powers to remove him if they truly disagree with his leadership. She reminded the senators that they had no problem quickly ratifying the state of emergency imposed by President Tinubu on Rivers State, so they should show the same urgency in ensuring that real-time electronic transmission of election results is passed into law. Senate President Akpabio attempted to defend the Senate's position during a book launch over the weekend, claiming that the Senate did not reject electronic transmission, but merely removed the phrase real-time from the provision. According to Akpabio, the concern was that if the law specifies real time and there is a network or grid failure, someone could go to court and argue that the law was violated because the transmission was not done in real time. However, this explanation has done little to calm the anger of protesters and critics who argue that this is just a convenient excuse to create loopholes that can be exploited to manipulate election results. In response to the growing pressure, the Senate announced on Sunday that it will hold an emergency plenary session on Tuesday, February 10, 2026. No official reason was given for the emergency sitting, but it is widely believed to be connected to the ongoing debates and protests over the electronic transmission issue. What do you think about all of this? Should the Senate reverse its decision and make electronic transmission mandatory, or is Akpabio's explanation about network failures a valid concern? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know where you stand. And if you have not already, please subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications.